Thursday evening, Friday Eve, we call it. It's your 8 o'clock tropical update, and we do find ourselves in the heart of the Atlantic hurricane season. Here we are, September 18th. Statistical peak is September the 10th. So really anywhere in here you look to see activity in the Atlantic basin. And we do have Gabrielle out there in the open Atlantic. We'll take a look at that, and another wave coming in behind that has a chance for development. Again, this time of the year, you can get development anywhere in the Atlantic basin, the Gulf, the Carib, the East Coast. The main development region out here becomes active, and that's where we've had a couple of storms try to develop recently. Got another one's going to try to do it later on this week. Again, the forecast from Colorado State is for 16 named storms. That is in the same ballpark as NOAA's outlook, which would be a couple of storms above normal if that forecast were to verify at 16. They're calling for 8 hurricanes. We've had 1 so far this year. They're calling for 3 majors. That same 1 hurricane was our lone major hurricane so far this season. And so far, the storm count and activity is significantly behind where we would expect to be at this point in the season. We're more than 30% behind on accumulated cyclone energy index measurements, 30% behind where we would be in a normal season, and we're even more than that behind the forecast that called for an above normal season. So we've got some catching up to do if we're going to get to normal or meet the above normal forecast from NOAA and from Colorado State. We've had Andrea, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, and Fernand all weak little tropical storms. Gabrielle is barely a tropical storm right now. So those have been the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tropical storms, and we've had the 1 hurricane. That was the 5th storm of the season. That was Hurricane Aaron, and that one lone hurricane went to Cat 5. If you'll remember, this one grazed the islands just north of the Caribbean, but it missed them completely, did not make landfall anywhere. The eye never crossed land before it turned north into the North Atlantic. So that's our season so far. If we're going to go to 16 storms, that would take us all the way to Pablo, and we've got quite a ways to go if we're going to get to Pablo. But you never know. Even though things have been relatively quiet, especially for we here in Texas, things can change overnight this time of the year. So again, your job is to watch the tropical update once a day, every day. So in case something changes, no one gets caught off guard. That's what we're doing here. Looking at Gabrielle, there is the tropical storm, barely a tropical storm. We'll take a closer look at that. And then this is where our wave that's on the west coast of Africa is about to step off. And in a day or two, it's going to get into this region where Hurricane Center gives it a 20% chance for development over the next 7 days. You will also notice no development expected in the Carib or the Gulf, so nothing knocking on our doorstep to threaten us, at least as of this evening. We look at ocean heat content. How much energy is there available for a tropical storm or hurricane if it were to get in the Caribbean? Well, there's a bunch, especially in the Northwest Caribbean Sea. That's where we have the highest amount of energy to feed a tropical storm or hurricane, but there's nothing there and nothing forecast to be there, at least for the moment. There's still enough energy in the Gulf and really plenty of energy out here for a system to form. We talked about this quite a bit. Sea surface temperature, so that ocean heat content takes into account the skin temperature, sea surface temperature of the ocean, and how deep that warm water goes. What you need at the surface are temperatures that are 80 degrees or above. With 80-degree surface temperatures, you can get a tropical storm all the way to a Cat 5 hurricane. You just have to be at 80 or above, and that checks that box for enough energy. And you can see plenty of warm water, 87 in the Gulf, 85 West Carib, 85 Central Carib, 84 to 82 in the main development region here. So there's plenty of warm water, plenty of energy for systems to feed on. And as we've also mentioned, just because you have warm water does not mean you're going to have a busy hurricane season. You could have 90-degree water plus across the basin, and it doesn't mean you're going to have a busy hurricane season. It's just checking a box. There's enough energy for a storm to form. All right, here's what we have right now. That is Tropical Storm Gabrielle, barely hanging on to life. We have a tropical wave here, and officially this is not a tropical wave yet. It's got to get over the ocean to become a tropical wave, but it will be one. It's just about to move off the west coast of Africa. There's our wave, and here's our another wave. And you can see the thunder shower activity with the enhanced infrared satellite. Plenty of rain and thunder, Dakar, south down the coast. That will move off, and that's the wave that the Hurricane Center says has a 20% chance to develop. We'll watch it. That would be on the heels of what is right now Tropical Storm Gabrielle. That is the center of Gabrielle right there. And the center is exposed. In other words, there's no convection over the middle of the storm. It's displaced off to the north and east. So there's a little bit of wind shear coming out of the southeast, blowing to the north, out of the southwest, blowing to the northeast, putting the deeper thunderstorm activity away from the center. As long as the center is exposed, it won't strengthen. So we've been a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm all day long, and the center's been exposed all day long. And quite frankly, looking at this, that is barely a tropical storm. But we do have a closed low. It's an open swirl, but a closed low, and the Hurricane Center is going to go ahead and hang on to a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm with Gabrielle. Now, the forecast for Gabrielle is for it to strengthen, and the Hurricane Center actually takes us to a Cat 1 late in the weekend, and then Cat 2 Sunday afternoon before it heads northeast into the cooler waters of the Atlantic and begins its weakening process. But they do take it up to Cat 2. They also, like Aaron, have this hurricane missing everything. There's Bermuda not in the forecast cone. East Coast is 800 to 1,000 miles away from the storm. So, this is going to be another one that is just a storm for the fish. Good. Looking at the modeling on this. Now, this is interesting. When I put this modeling in motion, what I want to show you, here's our circulation. You'll see it bend and curve in that direction. Why is it doing that? Well, there's high pressure sitting here. You've got winds rotating clockwise around that high, and so that storm is basically just following that flow around that area of high pressure. So we'll put it in motion. You see it going north and turning north and northeast as it flows around the winds rotating around that mid-level area of high pressure. That's the modeling going out to the middle of next week, to September 24th, Wednesday. That's what you see. What you don't see is more important. You don't see any activity being forecast for the Carib, especially where that high ocean heat content is, or the Gulf with 87-degree water temperature. Nothing forming there. Just a couple of points made here. It takes more than warm water to make a tropical storm or hurricane. And also, we may end up having a very quiet September, an unusually quiet September. The other point I'll make is that this time of the year, you can get a cluster of thunderstorms form on the Yucatan. It wanders into the Gulf, festers for a little bit, and becomes a tropical system. So you can't take your eyes off it, even though the modeling is suggesting things will stay quiet for us. It's just the price is check the tropical update once a day, every single day. This is a perfect spot. We're here every night at 8 o'clock. What you also notice with this is, see that? That's another tropical system being forecast by both the Euro and the American model on the Pacific side. Quite often when we're busy on the Pacific right here, things are relatively quiet here. We'll see if that continues to pan out. We'll take it one day at a time. That's what the models are suggesting is going to happen right now. Gabrielle moving away, no threat for us. The Pacific side's busy. We'll take it one day at a time. Okay, Friday in Houston. Summer continues for us. 72 in the morning, 91 by noon, 95 in the afternoon, 20% chance for a stray shower tomorrow afternoon on a very more mid-August day, more like a mid-August day in September tomorrow. The extended forecast, summer continues into the weekend, but we do have some changes coming. Notice the rain chance. Up to 40% Sunday, 50% chance. So half the area gets a rain chance Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That is actually as a front approaches from the north and west. That's the fall equinox on Monday, first day of fall by the calendar. So we've got a lot to talk about on our next live broadcast. That's KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock. We'll see you then for our next live update.